Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Saturday morning over here as we wrap up the week. It is a nice and boring weekend now, and I wanted to follow up on first the higher term timeframes for CME and how they closed on the weekly for Friday and how that kind of leads into the next week to come, and then also a little bit on the short term timeframes on the weekend as well, because well, what else are we gonna fucking talk about? Anyways, with that in mind, I wanted to once again shill my good old Instagram. I've been posting a lot of content there, Bitcoin trading, all sorts of related and unrelated content, which you can find a link in the description below. Other than that, Bybit's got a new promotion going on where they are offering actually 0% on maker fees for spot trading. So yeah. Anyway, sweet. Let's just jump into it right now and start it off with Bitcoin on the short-term timeframes. And I want to first preface this whole video by stating that spot price action over the weekend's massively different than what we're going to be going over on CME. So understand that while CME is not trading, obviously those signals don't really matter. Those are going to be more relevant towards the next week to come once we get to like Monday, Tuesday area. But for spot over the weekend here, short term, we are starting to see a few things of interest as Bitcoin does essentially play ping pong within the gold range. And what are we seeing right now? Well, we are seeing potential hidden bearish divergence forming between this angle and this angle right here. That's going to be your attempt at a high on the 15th of September. Versus this morning right here, at least the morning for myself. BBWP relatively low, so we're probably just looking at range moves here. We're probably not going to be looking at any sort of major things. And of course, Bitcoin did hold off of the 786 test down here yesterday at around 19,350. Dyslexia speaking yet again. So ultimately, when we measure this up against the 1 hour as well, we can see a little bit of a short-term time frame top being found. You know, does Bitcoin play another ping pong between these two ranges? That being between about 20,100 on the high side versus 19.4 on the downside. Perhaps yes, but ultimately I wouldn't be looking for Bitcoin to break down here if it is going to break down. If it's going to happen, if it is indeed going to happen, then it's very likely to happen next week, not over the weekend. In fact, there are a few things that we're going to be looking at on CME that do suggest bounce in the short term once next week opens. But speaking of spot specifically here, we do see the short-term time for momentum pivot on the hourly turning down right here, and will be remaining with downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's closing below 19,960. And if we go to the 2 hour, it would also be turning down below about 19,800, which Bitcoin's literally just teeter-tottering around right now. And then the 4 hour is kind of a bit of a wild card here, showing pressure up as long as Bitcoin's above 19,670. So what does essentially account for? Probably a bit of sideways over the weekend, as you would traditionally expect. So coming off of that, and then also going back on over here, short term, bit of sideways, does it test to the downside, somewhere in the middle of the range? Perhaps yes. I'm not super enthusiastic about, again, weekend price action, but there are a lot more clean and clear signals here on CME. So let's now go into this. Again, keeping in mind that CME signals, again, not relevant over the weekend, relevant especially like for the short-term timeframes, Monday, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday. But in this case, there are actually quite a few things of interest here. So first and foremost, last week, somewhere around like the beginning / mid of the week, we did say that, hey, if Bitcoin does break below, I think it was about $20,000, we're looking for a test somewhere down around the 786 Fibonacci retracement, which was right here at 19,300, and it actually literally just tested right into that region. I have 19,315, and the low is about 19,275. So fair enough in that case. Very likely a bounce to open up next week. Again, relatively low BBWP over here, so that does suggest that we could even see a retest back up to the short-term time frame range highs, that being anywhere around the 0.5 here, but nothing really changes as long as Bitcoin's below there, 20,550, that is, even on a medium-term time frame closure. Now if we go over and reference some of our other indicators, or whoops, they're right here literally. Hey, where'd my RSI go? What the fuck? We can see that the 4 hour jewel is probably going to align with a little bit of a bouncy signal coming into next week. Again, it's just very difficult to kind of keep up those extremes for that long. And of course, if we go over here to stochastic momentum, we'll also notice that going all the way down from 6 to 1, again, in extremes over here, just a little bit easier to get about, a bit of a bounce to open up the week. So 6 hour time frame will turn up above 19,460, which obviously Bitcoin closed above to close at the weekly for CME. So that'll open up. The 4 hour also twisting up here as well, basically 500 as the pivot. If we go to the bi-hourly, the pivot is going to be 19,550. So they're all coming in the same region. And then the hourly is also going to be showing 19,530 or so. So all of them kind of in the same, in the same area right there. Again, coming off of, a major test like this to 19,300 after that move. I mean, it was kind of like the biggest move of the week, basically like $1,000 down. That's what we're relegated to now. By the way, I was studying the price action from basically when Bitcoin was trading between like 40,000 to 60,000 the last few days, and it's so fucking frustrating that the hourlies, literally the fucking hourlies, like an hourly dildo would have a range just normally of $1,000, like not even doing all that much. Just here's another $1,000 range. You can basically just oh man, the good old days. And now we're relegated to below $20,000. Anyways, so I think that we've spoken enough about the short-term timeframes. Perhaps also of interest, we do see that short-term timeframe funding rates are actually negative here, like not super negative, but yeah, definitely negative, and that has been some good indications of short-term bounces as well. All right, sweet. So we've gone through all that. Oh, and I completely forgot the probably the most important one, which is really, really frustrating right now because for whatever reason, my RSI won't load. It's doing too many calculations, I guess. What the fuck's going on over here? Hey, come on, TradingView. There we go. Yes, awesome. Yeah, we do see a couple things, or one thing of interest here. We do see potential hidden bullish divergence building. That's Elsa coughing in the background because she's actually sick as a dog right now. So she's like running to the bathroom. Hopefully all is well. Anyways, and also kind of coming off of a trend line test over here as well. It's not necessarily perfect, but a bit more of a regression in this case. A likely bounce area nonetheless. The question is, how high would Bitcoin bounce to open up the week? Any bounce that fails get back above 20,500 is just that, another bounce before getting ready for likely more downside. The reason why I say that is because of the way that the weekly closed, not just in CME, but also as we'll go over in traditional markets as well. CME, a clean and clear rejection on the weekly closure here. Let me actually blow this up a little bit. There we go. Below all major moving averages, a clean and clear rejection of the 200 simple, and even almost engulfing the prior weekly dildo, but not quite right there. Anyways, that accompanied with the weekly stochastic momentum also freshly turning down, as long as Bitcoin is basically above the pivot that I just gave, 20,650. I was saying 20,005 or 2550, same shit basically. That is momentum turning down plus a major rejection, closing on the lows, not necessarily the strongest of all time. On top of that, the 2-day time frame closed last night, and that did confirm hidden bearish divergence here. So we have 1, 2, 3 draws coming off the last few highs. So I suspect that there likely will be another test to the downside next week. And then the real question is, does Bitcoin close below any one of the critical regions that we've, or it's not any one of them. There's literally one, and it's 18,500. And if we do see any sort of a daily closure below there, that's at the point where I look at the next major actionable targets to the downside as relevant. Until then, short-term timeframes, are probably going to be the only play this weekend, I suspect. So, some boring times over here, and I don't know, maybe like extremely short term, tries one more move to the downside, probably doesn't break or anything like that, and then I suspect Monday, Tuesday opens up on a bounce. It should also be known that on SPY futures and NASDAQ futures, this is NASDAQ futures right here, same thing, basically closes engulfing. Looks to me like probably wants to retest the June lows. Same thing over here for SPY futures, a little bit less bad, I guess, but again, a clean and clear rejection of the 55. There is a trap situation potential. I mean, it's potential, doesn't mean that it's like likely, but hey, anywhere above last week's high, and that would be phenomenally bullish. I wouldn't say phenomenally bullish, but it'd be bullish enough for like a big move to the upside, for SPY back up towards like 4,400 or so if that were to happen. But that's well and far away. Of course, we want to be aware of these things and where these pivots are in advance. It's like playing chess. You want to be understanding, few moves in advance. But hey, for right now, short-term timeframes, that's basically all that I got. And the real fun begins likely when the new weekly opens. So with that said, I want to be wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.